Hello there and welcome back to the channel. So the question is it a fishing village with a drinking problem, or is it a drinking village with a fishing problem? That is the question that many people have asked right here in Shaldon. Hello and welcome to Shaldon on the River Tean on the South Devon coast, and we're here today for a little bit of an explore around the village. Hello, Nina's here as well.
Good morning. I don't know if you can see the bridge behind us, but it's quite interesting because on a very, very, very windy day, you can hear it playing a tune. In 2002, when it was last modernised, they put some pipes in which were hollow, so it works like an organ. It was playing F sharp to start with, but that was very ear-piercingly. So they've toned it down a little bit, so it's slightly better, still noisy.
Well, thank goodness it's not whistling today, because that would mean it was very, very windy. In fact, we tried to do this video 3-4 days ago and it was blowing a hoolie and we had to knock it on the head. Hopefully today is a bit better. So let's go off and have a wander through the lovely village of Shaldon in South Devon. First of the churches, this is St. Peter the Apostle. Quite an unusual shape, isn't it? Shaldon Bridge again, quite busy on this sunny Sunday. And to the left hand side, the River Tean. And a little bit later on in this video, we're going to be taking you just a little way up the River Tean to look for a very interesting grave. You know me and my graves. So we're going to be looking for one of those a little bit later on. And then on the right hand side here, looking across to Teignmouth Docks. Some beautiful grand houses here on the riverside in Shaldon. Lovely views across. But as we always say around here, those of us that live in Teignmouth on the other side actually get to look at pretty Shaldon. They get to look at our docks. All very attractive cottages here in Shaldon. Shaldon has got some lovely little cottages, but also very narrow roads, quite difficult to park your car. Look at this old walled garden here on the left, and the lovely door, a very enticing door. And then more very pretty cottages, one even for sale here. So if you want to check that out, go to Bradley's Estate Agents online and look at the lovely magnolia tree here. Is that magnolia or is it cherry?
Cherry.
It's cherry tree, yes, sorry. Fancy a nice cottage on the Devon coast? There you are. And see, here we are in the green in Shaldon. Some lovely houses surrounding it, and in the middle, the bowling green. That's a fine bit of turf, that is, isn't it, eh?
Just like our lawn, that.
Just the same as our lawn, not a mole in sight. Yeah, very nice round here. And on the left hand side, somewhere nice to stay and a rather good pub. Let's go and have a look. Potter's Mooring. The first time we were looking for properties here in the Teignmouth area, we stayed here. I think we might have stayed here twice actually. And right next door, the wonderful London Inn. Always very busy here on a sunny summer's day. They do very good meals in there actually, highly recommended. Very nice place to come, even in winter.
Looks like they've got rooms now as well. There's a sign saying rooms here.
So there is. Somewhere else to stay if you fancy a couple of nights here in lovely Shaldon. Memorial bench, lovely spring flowers, and the pub. You can sit there at the pub and watch them playing bowls here. In fact, we've come here with friends before and sat on one of these benches with some chips, fish and chips from the local chippy, which is very, very good here in Shaldon, by the way. Run by a couple from the Midlands. Yeah, it's a nice way to spend an evening, isn't it? And as you cut through towards the main street and that famous chippy, which you can see the sign for in front of us here, lovely old buildings here. And then you come into the main street. I think this is 4th Street, but yes, it is 4th Street, yes. So you've got the Methodist Church there, and then down on the left hand side a few little shops, pretty shops on the right hand side. A lovely art studio here, look at this.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Nice picture of Shaldon Beach there. And
these are shells, they're painted, look, oyster shells, they're gorgeous.
And pretty cottages.
There's a fabulous butcher's here as well called
really
Oarsman's.
Good. Yeah, really good butcher's.
Wow.
Oarsman's, check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is, the Wesleyan Chapel and the Methodist Church.
Both next door to each other.
Yeah, they are.
1867, 1899.
Well, there you go. So let's go and have a look at the beach. So as we walk onto the beach, you get a few little shops along here and a couple of nice places to have refreshments as well. And then as we walk forward on the left hand side is the superb Clipper. Did I say Clipper? Clipper. Yeah, it's a brilliant place to go for a drink and a meal. We'll show you more in a sec. So this is the back of the Clipper. This is where you can sit and have a very nice drink on a warm sunny day. And it's not bad for March. Here is the back of the Clipper. They do fabulous breakfasts in there. Feels like I'm promoting the local businesses here, doesn't it? And here you come out onto the quayside and the lovely Shaldon Beach. So here we are, Shaldon beachfront. Marine Parade on the right, we'll have a walk down there in a second. The Ness headland ahead of us, we're heading up there in a sec as well. And then across the other side, this is the mouth of the River Teign, the point in Teignmouth straight in front of us, and then the back beach in Teignmouth across there, and across to our favourite pub, the Ship Inn. You can just see the church in the distance. And where do we live around here? Well, if you were to look across there, right at the brow of the hill, I don't know if the GoPro will pick these up, but you can see some red roofed houses right at the top. We're just above there. And here's the Shaldon ferry. There's two of these boats operate the ferry. It looks like they've got the smaller one on duty today, and it just ferries you across from Shaldon Beach here across to the back beach in Teignmouth. It only takes about 3 minutes. It's always over far too soon for me, but it's a lovely little ride. It's only a couple of quid to go on it, and as you can see, beaches, and then you walk the plank. A few people there waiting to get on as well. Lovely little run, and it means you can leave the car behind in Teignmouth, park it on the car park over there, and then come across here for a nice walk around and maybe a drink at one of the local establishments. Quite busy today on this sunny Sunday with a lot of people getting on as well. And off he goes on his way back across to Teignmouth. On his own today. Quite often there's two on the boat. There's one driving, and they normally have a lad with him who collects the money and puts the plank down for the passengers as well. And off he goes. It's a lovely little trip, but it's always over so fast. I always think, oh, I'd love to just go backwards and forwards a few times. And I tell you what, there's quite a skill to driving this across here, because you can see the mouth of the River Teign right here. The current is incredible. Very, very dangerous to attempt to swim across here, and you've really got to know what you're doing with the boat as well, otherwise you'd end up totally in the wrong place. But there he goes, across to the back beach. And on the right hand side is one of the local gigs. Looks like it's part of the Shaldon ladies crew, I think, and they've obviously been out for a row and they're bringing it back up.
I think that might be a seine boat, which is a slightly smaller version.
Yeah, there's various different versions of gigs and boats.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert myself, but there you go.
That looks hard work.
It is hard work. You can see how heavy they are.
9 of them to push it up.
A couple of nice places to eat and drink on Shaldon Beach. This is the ferry boat and their beer garden at the front overlooking the river. And there's the pub. Very nice pub. They have some good live music there on Sundays quite often. Or if rather than a pint you prefer a nice cup of tea or coffee and a nice bit of cake, here's the Strand Cafe, and as you can see it's very busy there on this Sunday morning overlooking the water. And Nina, you were telling us something about the cottages here.
Yeah, the cottages in the Strand were built for the Newfoundland fishermen. The company built them, and they had the gardens opposite so they could do the nets in the gardens.
Uh-huh. We have some lovely road names here in Shaldon as well. Horse Lane, that leads you back up to the main road eventually, past the Homeyards Gardens, to which we will be going very soon. As you can see, 7 miles to Torquay. And at the back of the beach, ladies taking their wheels down to fetch the boats up. We're going to have a stroll along the back of the beach here, up to the Ness, and then we're going to show you the secret tunnel and the secret beach. So there we are, looking back at Shaldon Beach. Across to Teignmouth the other side, and that is the point in Teignmouth. Quite often you'll get a seal who decides to have a bit of a rest on there, and then over to Teignmouth seafront and the pier. And I don't know if you can pick it up in the distance, but the rest of the East Devon coast in the distance. And from where I am, I don't think you'll pick it up on the camera, I can see the white of Branscombe Cliffs, and to be ahead But we're going this way, across towards the Ness, which is the headland here. Why is it called the Ness? Why is it called the Ness, Nina?
It's because it's shaped like a nose, and in French, nose is nez, N-E-Z, le nez.
Le Nez, there you are. And of course, as we said on the other video the other day, we're actually only 75 miles from Cherbourg here, which means that Teignmouth and Shaldon are closer to Cherbourg than they are to Bristol. Fancy a nice place by the sea. Nice modern pad up the top. There's one or two very nice places up there, and right on the seafront.
Yeah, there's something about.
And if you want somewhere very unusual to stay around here, have a look at this. This is called the Gun House. It's very small, but apparently it's very chic inside, like a sort of
yeah. It's got all designer and Bose speakers and all very, very upmarket.
Yeah.
But also very expensive.
very expensive. I think, what, about $1,000 a week, was it?
Yes.
Last time we looked.
Last
to stay in
time.
here. It's literally just a few square feet, but it's got everything you want. It's called the Gun House. Look at the gunhouse.uk. That's the website. And this is what you're looking at. So it's very nice, especially if you live up country. So this is the mouth of the River Teign, where the River Teign, which starts way up on the moorlands on Dartmoor, enters the English Channel. Tide is almost at high tide at the moment, so you're seeing it at its fullest. But this is where ships also come into Teignmouth docks, which you can see on the left hand side there. There's no ships in today, but they come straight through this channel here and then do a sharp right behind the back beach, make their way across to the docks, and then have to turn the ships. And they're quite big ships, some of these. They come from places like the Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, and all over Europe and around the British Isles as well. And it's quite spectacular watching them coming in and having to do these very tight manoeuvres. And in fact, I think it was a couple of years ago, one got it wrong and he went straight into one of the pontoons and clobbered a couple of boats while he was at it. So the Philippe Lucet light right at the entrance to the River Teign and the harbour, and there it is. And it shines away, keeping the ships away from the rocks. And at low tide you can walk right out to that. It sits on top of rocks and it's beach under us normally here. You can walk straight out to there. And the sun just out in time for us to look across. It's Teignmouth seafront and Holcombe in the distance there, and then the East Devon coast beyond. So here we are in front of the Ness Hotel. There's the Ness headland, and at low tide you can walk around the rocks to a secret beach. Well, it's not such a secret, to be honest, but it almost is. We'll tell you more about that in a second. Tells you here about the World War II coastal defences, and this bit of the coastline had loads of coastal defences because it was obviously in prime position in case of invasion. And here is the Ness Hotel. Let's tell you about that.
It's the Ness Hotel, and often we'll come here for a meal, and they've got a lovely restaurant downstairs, including the conservatory. The original building was built in 1810 by the Clifford family, who are alleged to have made some money through smuggling.
And there was a smuggler's tunnel that apparently they created, which we're going to show you next. The Ness Hotel, not looking its best today. It's covered in scaffolding, but everywhere by the sea has to be done up and kept nice because it gets a battering from all the winter storms. Anyway, very nice food in there as well. Nice places to sit on the right hand side if you want a picnic. But we are next going to take you to the Smuggler's Tunnel and the secret beach. Just behind the Ness Hotel is Ness Farmhouse. You can imagine once upon a time this would have been way out in the country really, and nowadays it sits next to a car park, but it's still very pretty with the pool here and the ducks. Some of those ducks are real.
There's two real ones
and
today.
some are not. And then on the left hand side, that building there is in the summer a little gift shop, and you buy ice creams there and sweets and little local souvenirs as well. If you go to the right hand side, it brings you up to Shaldon Zoo, which is just a little zoo. It's on the side of the hill. They've got small animals there like meerkats and things like that. Very nice to take the kids to. Still never been there actually, have we?
No, we haven't.
On the left, well yeah, you've got the loos, but you've also got the Smuggler's Tunnel. Now what's this all about? Well, let's go and have a look and we'll tell you more. And here is the remains of an old lime kiln. And here is the entrance to the Smuggler's Tunnel. Now this apparently was originally built by smugglers so that they could bring their illicit goods off their boats and smuggle it through there and bring it ashore without having to go through the ports, therefore avoiding paying all the taxes. That's what it was all about. And this will take us through to Ness Beach. And here is the lime kiln. Still in quite good nick actually. And as you can hear, even international visitors here today. Look at the old boulder there. I wonder what that was used for. Maybe something in the processing here. Right, so let's go a-smuggling. We always tell people this is a secret tunnel, but as you can see, it's not much of a secret. But you can imagine back in the day when this was just a tunnel roughly hewn out of the rock, and the smugglers coming up here with their illicit goods, whatever that may be, whether it be booze or cigarettes or anything that you have to pay tax on, really. Down the steps we go. Almost there. Looks like the tide is high, as the song goes. So here we are, welcome to Ness Cove Beach. So you can see where we've just come out from, up the steps there, that's the entrance to the tunnel, and on the left is what I believe was a former entrance to the tunnel. I think it used to split at some point and you could come out there as well. A lot of people on the beach today. Normally the tide would go out a lot further than this. That's the back of the Ness headland in front of us, and at low tide you can walk around those rocks and back onto Shaldon seafront. But today the only way to get to Ness Cove Beach is by boat or through the tunnel. And here we are. It's a lovely beach actually. A lot of people never get to see this who visit Teignmouth and Shaldon. And we're looking around the coast there. Labrador Bay just around the corner, and straight in front of us on that headland is Babacoom, and then off to Hope's Nose, which is the point there, and the Mewstone and the Orestone, which are the two little rocky outcrops there. So we made it.
We did. This is the beach that we brought some friends to just after we moved here. We went, nobody ever comes to this beach. We get out onto the platform and no word of a lie, it was packed. It was a beautiful day. And if you can see, there's a lot of people today because the wind's coming from behind us, so it's sheltered.
So that was Ness Cove Beach and the tunnel. We're now going to make our way back through the tunnel. The next part of this video will concentrate on Homeyards, which is a beautiful park in Shaldon, about the people who created it, why and where they ended up. That's coming next. Don't go away, it's worth watching, I promise you. And earlier on we mentioned the zoo here. Here it is, Shaldon Wildlife Trust. So they've got monkeys and meerkats. There he is. Ah. Hello, go compare. And parrots. And just on the side of the hill here is a little golf club as well. It's not the main golf course around here, that's the Teignmouth golf course, which is very prestigious, but this is a little golf course. I think it's just 9 holes where you can come and have a knock around. But it's very, very pretty views from here. Right, well, if I seem out of breath, it's because since I last spoke to you, which for you was like 2 seconds ago, we have climbed this wackadoobie great hill. But anyway, we are now here at Homeyards Botanical Garden in Shaldon. We'll tell you about the history of this place. It's lovely here. Just going to take you through the main entrance. And as you can see, there's an information board in front of us. And this is a lovely area of parkland on the hill above Shaldon. And it's even got its own little castle, which we'll show you in a second. So here you can see the history that the Homeyards Botanical Gardens were created by Maria Letitia Kempe Homeyard in the 1920s. Now her husband William made a fortune as inventor of liquifruta, which was like a cough mixture, and it was very successful in its day. They lived at Nest Cottage here in Shaldon, and they designed these gardens. They also built 54 distinctive houses which are just above us on the main road on the left hand side. And then following Mrs. Homeyard's death in 1944, the future of the gardens remained unresolved until they were sold to the local council for a nominal sum, and they're now open to the public.
If you just pan round, there's Nest Cottage behind us.
Ah, there it is. That's where they live then. So this really would have been their garden, I suppose. Yeah. And as you can see, lovely views up here. We're looking across the estuary below us. You can just see Shaldon Beach. And then here's the upper part of the gardens. There's also more just to the right of us. And coming up in front of us, this is the castle. Let's go and have a closer look, shall we? And here we are. This is Homeyards Castle in Homeyards Gardens in Shaldon. What's the history behind this then, Nina?
This little castle was built in 1931, really as a folly, but it's where Letitia liked to take afternoon tea as well.
Oh, and it's now open to the public. I think you can hire it for events, can't you?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can have afternoon teas here. I think you'd have to bring your own stuff.
Bring your own tea, yeah. We have seen it here when there's been things going on. Let's see if you can see inside. Not a lot to see, is there? But a very grand entrance. So yeah, I believe you can hire this. I think it's actually run by the local council now. You can hire it for events. So imagine impressing your friends. Come to the castle for tea, eh? And they do garden volunteers here in the parks as well. Tuesdays 10 AM, so if you've got nothing better to do, you fancy a bit of weeding, then come along here. And here there's a nice timeline of the whole history of Homeyards Gardens all the way around us here. And here's a nice view across the estuary. We're looking across the top of the village, across to the point in Teignmouth there. I think I'll get the old camera out and see if I can get a closer up shot of that. So we're going to walk down these steps and onto the lower part of the park.
This is the Italianate Gardens, isn't it, this little bit?
Yeah.
Laid out in Italianate style.
Very pretty. Let's go and have a closer look at this. I'm going to switch the camera off while we walk down. Otherwise, it could end in tears. Yeah, nice place to come and relax. Just have a picnic like some people were just up by the castle there. Away from the crowds. And here's the little pool, the little poem about it there as well. Isn't that lovely? Let's go and have a look here. So this is the little Italianate part of Homeyards Gardens. There you go. Panoramic view across the estuary here and across to the back beach in Teignmouth. Doggie's enjoying this little game with his ball there. So that was Homeyards Botanical Gardens, but that's not the end of the Homeyard story for this video. When Mr. Homeyard died, I think it was in the 1940s, 1944, yeah. He was buried at St Nicholas Church in Ringmore, which is another part of Shaldon. Shaldon split into two. We've seen the main village here and the Ness headland. The other side of the main road along the estuary, that part of Shaldon, is called Ringmore. So that's where we're heading off next. We're going to go to St Nicholas Church, and there's a little story about Mr. Homeyard's grave that may make you chuckle. That's coming up next. So as we walk back towards Ringmore, we're going through the back streets of the village of Shaldon. Some lovely little pretty cottages along here. Some of them are holiday cottages, but still quite a lot of them are lived in full time, which is nice. I love the pretty pinks and the nice colours, and the sun's coming back out, which is nice. And look at this cottage here. Isn't this just quintessential Devon thatched cottage, just beautiful. So as we walk back towards the Ringmore end, we're going to have to get in the car just to go for a short way, but that's okay. But we're going to go down 4th Street, which is the main street in Shaldon, and show you some of the nice shops down there. And another one, I don't know if you can see, but there's a wonderful thatched carving on the roof. Looks like a lizard or something. They do like to do stuff like that. I don't know if you can see here, but you've got Orsman's, the very highly rated butchers. On the right hand side is the original Shaldon bakery. They've now got quite a few branches across this area. So you've got the butchers, the bakers, and yes, on the left, don't know if you can see it behind the red car, the candlestick makers. This is 4th Street Shaldon with the post office on the left, and on the right hand side the former Clifford Arms. I say former because sadly that pub closed a few years ago and never reopened since, which is a bit of a shame because I believe in its day it was a really nice pub. And here's one of the oldest buildings in Shaldon. This is Hunter's Lodge from 1650. What do you know about that, Nina?
This dates back to when the Carews owned all this land. They sold to the Cliffords, and this was built as the hunting lodge for the Cliffords for when they'd been hunting.
Wow. So we've crossed over to the Ringmore side of Shaldon, which is further along the River Tean, along the estuary. I'm just going to walk down to the slipway down here, and after that we'll make our way to the church and we'll have a look for Mr. Homeyards, who apparently died in 1927, not 1944. As I said a few minutes ago, he died in 27, his wife died in 44. But there's something quite amusing about the gravestone, which we'll tell you in a few minutes' time. And another very pretty house here on the Strand in Ringmore. Very nice position as well, right here on the slipway. It's gone a bit blowy, but that's okay. And here we are on the edge of the River Tean. So you can turn left here at low tide, as you can see on the sign here, and walk along what's called the Templar Way. And at low tide you can walk all the way along there as far as the Coombe Cellars. The Coombe Cellars is about another mile along there, maybe a little bit further. Very nice pub restaurant there, very highly recommended, although it's a very narrow lane to get to it. Here's a local fishing boat, but as you can see just on the back, not originally from this area but originally from Milford Haven. He's a long way from home, isn't he? So here we are on the River Tean, looking across the Teignmouth over there, and then inland towards Dartmoor. Some very pretty houses here in Ringmore, but we're not going up there today. Instead we're heading this way to the Church of St. Nicholas. Now then, Nina, the story of Mr. Homeyards' grave. Now when he died in 1927 he was buried here at St. Nicholas, and they wanted to put the name of Liquifruta, which was his very successful company, on the grave. The church authority said, no, you can't do that, that's advertising, we're not having that in the churchyard. So what did they do?
Well, his wife very cleverly said, can I put a Latin inscription? And they went, oh yes. So she wrote Liquifruta backwards.
Backwards.
Very clever.
And the church authorities didn't cotton onto it. We're going to try and find that for you now. Now, if you've watched any of our previous videos, we didn't do so well trying to find Mr. Baskerville's grave in Ashburton, but let's see if we can have a better go. Apparently it's on the northwest corner of the church.
Okay.
So let's go and see if we can find Mr. Homeyard's grave with Liquifruta written backwards. And this is the pretty Church of St. Nicholas. Very pretty little graveyard. A lot of the graves here have a maritime connection. Sea captains and people who've lost their lives at sea, and fishermen and that sort of thing. Very interesting to go around and try and read them, but today we're looking for Mr. Homeyard's grave. So the northwest corner of the graveyard is over here.
Yes.
And I know it's got a cross on it. I see one over there with a cross on it.
On.
Let's go and have a look and see if that's the one. And amazingly we found it. Here's the grave. So you see at the bottom, Maria Letitia Kemper Homeyard. She's the one who created the Homeyards Gardens that we saw. Died in 1944. Above her, William Newcomb Homeyard, who founded the Liquifruta Company. And as we just mentioned, they didn't want Liquifruta putting on the grave, so instead they put it backwards like a Latin inscription, and the church authorities fell for it, and there it is. If you look at that very carefully, that says Liquifruta backwards. So even as he passes on into the beyond, he got one over on the authorities. Good for him. There you go, Mr. Homeyard's grave. So there you go, we found it. We failed in our Ashburton video to find Mr. Baskerville's grave, but we discovered Mr. Homeyard's grave and the Liquifruta sign here at St Nicholas in Ringmore. As you can see, it's a really big graveyard. It goes way up there. We're very pretty here. River's just on our right hand side, and it's been kept nicely, and a very pretty little country church. And so there you go, we are done for another video. So I hope you enjoyed our little wander around Shaldon. So we saw Shaldon village, and we saw the secret beach and the smugglers tunnel. And then we came across in search of the grave of the people who invented Liquifruta. Thanks so much for your company on this video. If you'd like to subscribe, if you haven't already, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, just a thumbs up would be great. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll join us again on another one very soon. Take care, thanks a lot, see you soon. This is where